We have waited a long time for this moment, my dudes. We are full mast on this most auspicious of days, for Nakari, the bane of Ulthuan, has come. It's a euphemism, by the way. My favorite Chaos God, and the unit roster that most closely fits my playstyle have arrived in Warhammer 3. The embargo is dropped, the turn limits have been terminated, so we can pretty much do whatever the hell we want at this point except play as the ogres. So naturally, it's Nakari campaign time. But rather than give you all the full breakdown and play the first 20 turns in 75 hours or whatever, I'm going to share my love of Slaanesh combat, the series of battles that shows just how much fun they can be to play and just how right this faction feels. Their movement, their liquid grace, the ease with which they murder, it's poetry in motion. But it comes with a deadly side effect for the followers of the Dark Prince because they are squishy as balls. They evaporate in the wrong engagements. They generally suck at sieges. They have piss poor auto-resolve that deletes your units, and you're low armor. No missile block chance, glass cannons from the beginning of the campaign to the end of it, which means your micro and decision making must be on point every step of the way, or battles will punish you hard, which is something all of us Slaanesh players are into anyway, but it makes them feel exquisitely unique, because the gods will reward your perfect troop movements, your gorgeous flank charges, those amazing hammer and anvils, and they will cackle when you inevitably screw it up and lose full units in like 15 seconds flat. So in a very fitting feature of their design, Slaanesh is a race of extremes. If you felt like they might be weak, they are most assuredly not, but they do have some weaknesses, and those are very apparent. They have the strongest Chaos God economy, although Skarbrand can probably make more through constant sacking and pillaging. They're basically the only one that engages in real diplomacy. They have powerful growth bonuses, and they're really good at playing tall within your starting area, nestled in the northwest corner of the map. You can vassalize most of Norska very early on, and from there, Skarbrand is generally going to be your main rival, and his armies can kick your ass in a straight melee grind, which is why we're never going to give him one. If you're fighting straight up against Khorne, you are doing it wrong, especially with Slaanesh. So, let's jump into the first battle of the campaign against the Demons of the Bloody Sword, then we'll check out Nakari's skill tree, and fast forward more towards the mid-game, where we have a powerful elite stack to plunge into the realm of the Blood God to battle Skarbrand on his own home turf. Yeah, so Nakari is freakishly good, but we're not there yet. We're in the very early stages. In fact, we're only like turn 4 right now. So you're not going to see all his unique abilities at the moment. It's Lash of Slaanesh, Acquiescence, Devastating Flanker, and Soul Siphon, which is the big one for this battle. Nakari can get up to 129 speed, and he's a Mortis engine to anything that's wavering or running away from him. And dropping leadership is something Slaanesh is very good at doing. They have almost ubiquitous terror, tons of leadership debuffs that lower enemy morale by 16, like Phantasmagoria. They outflank you, they have devastating flankers, so they double their charge bonus when they hit you in the flank or rear, and they just cause you to rout, and when you rout, then you're getting Mortis drained into oblivion as they chase you off the map. It can be extremely powerful, and when you combine that with the healing he gets from killing off units, whenever a unit dies nearby, he gets big bursts of healing once you unlock that on his skill tree. So I wouldn't call him tanky, but his dueling stats are some of the best of any legendary lord in Mortal Empires, and he's a scary boy. So we have a Khorne reinforcement army coming in about a minute. I'm going to basically try to force these Furies to chase after Nakari and run into my little ambush here. Now, Gate of Chaos is something that every single demon army uses a ton in campaign. You'll see it all the time. You can bait it out doing what I just did right there. So, move up. They summon the Bloodletters. They only have a 90-second lifetime, so essentially they're going to be completely wasted. And that's a good thing, because Bloodletters will mess up any of my infantry. Demonettes, Marauders, if they get a straight-up engagement, they're going to poop on me, so I don't want to give them one, which is why we're using the hypermobility here to force them out onto the open plane and kind of draw them out. And that'll be pretty much the main strategy we'll use throughout this entire campaign, is we want to force all of our opponents, no matter who they are, to spread the field as wide as possible, then pick off isolated troops. I mean, when you've got an entire army made up of 100 low speed units, that's not too hard, right? I will say, I don't love the chariots. Slaanesh chariots right now feel a bit weak to me. we'll go more in depth about that as we use more of them and get some more experience. But from what I've seen, I've been a little bit underwhelmed by what they're able to do. Gonna pop Acquiescence there on the Chaos Warhounds, just because, and this is kind of the funny thing, Slaanesh is so low armor that stuff like Furies and Warhounds are actually kind of a threat, even to N'Kari, to an extent. Obviously, they're not going to beat them, but they can deal more damage than you might expect in certain scenarios. So, debuffing stats of units that have somewhat high base weapon strength is kind of important. So, in that case, just slowing them down, lowering their melee defense is going to make it a little bit easier to finish them off. But the AI is actually... they're kind of keeping those Warhounds in a good spot right now, kind of in the pocket, supported by the Bloodletters and by the Chaos Warriors. So I'm going to try to flank around here. Use the army ability on the infantry pretty much off cooldown whenever it becomes available. We'll just do a direct damage spell. It's not terrible. Does pretty decent damage, actually. I think it did about a third or fourth of that Bloodletter's health. And yeah, look at how well they're protecting those Warhounds. It's actually a little bit impressive. Because yeah, Hellstriders will beat them up. Oh, okay. So we got another Gated Chaos behind us, and that's not ideal. So we're going to move the Demonettes to get the Hammer and Anvil, and the Fiends and our Chariot will also be nearby. Those have magical attacks, so should make that engagement a bit easier for us, and the Soporific Musk from the Fiends especially will really help us in that melee grind. But yeah, should be able to finish them off quickly. Might take a little bit more damage than I would like. That was a nice position from the Cornate Gate of Chaos there. And I'm going to look for a duel on the Blood Reaper in a second here, I think. Get a rear charge in and maybe pop an Acquiescence on him once we get a little bit closer. Demonettes were a bit late. No biggie. Let's pull away. No reason to just take that straight up melee grind. And I will say that I think N'Kari is he's good against demons for sure, but I think he will really shine against factions that are very susceptible to chain routing, which demons are obviously not, because they don't rout, they crumble. And that essentially makes all their infantry unbreakable. So that is one of the weird things about the army abilities in Warhammer 3. Quite a few of the factions only get their army abilities from routing troops. Ogres and Slaanesh are included in that. And with 4 of the factions being demons, the fact that they don't rout for the most part means that it's hard for them to get their army abilities, which is very strange. When Mortal Empire comes out, that won't be such a big deal. Right now, it's maybe a bit strange from a design perspective, but regardless, don't let our light cav get charged by Bloodletters. That's the kind of thing where you turn away for a split second and your unit's gone. We alright though? Okay, I'm curious how my Demonettes will do. The physical resistance should help them there, because Warhounds don't have magic attacks. If those were Fleshhounds, my Demonettes would say, "Goodnight, sweet princesses." They'd be super, super dead. So thankfully, they're not busting out the Fleshhounds yet. Yeah, they handle that engagement quite well. Demonettes have amazing stats, actually. Their issue is armor, of course. So you just can't let them get charged. And you really don't want to be taking too many fights with decent infantry from the front, but again, in the flank or rear, they are quite sensual. Another Acquiescence on the Blood Reaper. This time I'm going to try to poop on him. Sometimes N'Kari doesn't dominate duels, just because, especially against like little guys like this, because he'll knock them over. That can get annoying. I'm not seeing his HP bar plummet right now, which is upsetting. N'Kari, would you like to hit him? I promise you, I'm not having performance anxiety. N'Kari is good in duels. He's really damn good in duels. But there are sometimes situations like this where he's like, man, I don't really feel like it. Or he just pushes people around, doesn't actually beat up on them. That's alright though, because again, there are more isolated Cornate units here. Gorgeous flank charge from the Fiends and from the Hellstriders, which are a really good light cav unit. You get up to a 22% ward save with them, and better stats with their, it's not called Soul Siphon, it's like Soul Reaper, or Hunters of Souls, I think is their army ability. And they get some really nice buffs when they've killed a lot of stuff, when they've chased a lot of stuff off the map. And that's how you're supposed to use them. Make things start routing, run them down, get them really good stats for light cav, and then you can send them back into the actual melee grind to finish off the rest of the army. Yeah, Chariot's up to a massive 11 kills so far. just charging infantry all game long, and 11 kills. Great, very great. There's something weird with Slaanesh chariots in terms of they don't have too many issues disengaging, although I have had some mass problems with them. Oh yeah, now Nakari's starting to poop on them. Yeah. But the big thing that I've noticed is they just don't seem to do very much damage even when you flank or rear charge with them, and I don't know why. The Exalted Seeker is better from that standpoint, but I mean, these are health layers, they're 1200 gold. You expect some serious DPS out of a chariot that's that expensive with that much AP, and at the moment they don't quite deliver. And they die in auto-resolve, which doesn't really help either. So big time Delta split right now. Gonna keep my Demonettes and Nakari away from that little section of the army. And after the fascination on the Bloodletters, we can send our fast movers over here, and I think take this engagement with the Bloodletters of Khorne. And this is why I've been having so much fun with this particular faction. Especially in comparison to a race like Nurgle, for instance. You can't do stuff like this with Nurgle, right? Like, you go into melee, you kind of just grind it out, you sit in a choke point. There's not a lot of micromanagement going on. Here, you just pick apart armies. Spread the field. It's super fun. So I'll have Nakari hit the flank of those Bloodletters. Keep the fast movers out on the periphery for now. I know that those two units of infantry are about to close the gap, so we'll let them do so and then punish them heavily for their transgressions. Yeah, let's get an acquiescence on the Bloodletters and then hit them in the flank. Khorne's already dead, they just don't know it yet. Nakari, you're embarrassing me in front of my friends. I need you to start hitting the high value stuff. Kind of underrated, you guys might not have even noticed it yet, but the Mortis Drain from Soul Siphon has kicked in quite a few times this battle already. And that is how he gets his heal too. As soon as you unlock that heal, basically you can keep him in and among, yeah, you can see the little striations, the lines above those Bloodletters right now. That means the Mortis Drain is kicking in. And that's how he finishes off units. So, say there's 15 models remaining in Warriors of Chaos unit, and they're running away. Nakari touches one of them, they all get hit by that drain, and then they all end up dying, and then you get a big burst to your HP pool. It's really not uncommon to get in a situation where he's pretty hurt at the end of a battle, just because, again, he has 5 armor base, and he's a huge hitbox monster. But then when you start running everything down, he can get most of that HP back real quick. Which is weird, because you don't really think of Slaanesh as a healing faction. But it works for Nakari. He drains their souls, sucks them dry, and that's army losses. And our first battle of the campaign. Defeat in detail. This is how you beat much bigger armies. Now, in this case, they didn't crazy outnumber me here, but they were stronger, and especially against AI, but against real players too. You basically just draw them out, isolate units, finish them off one by one, and you can get some really crazy victories that way. Alright, let's take a look at his skill tree. Elven Grudge is automatically unlocked. Makes sense, he's the Bane of Ulthuan. He hates high elves. You get missile resist and melee attack when fighting against the Azrai, or Azur. The same thing. They're knife ears, who gives a shit? So we got Elven Grudge up top for that missile resist. That's pretty useful considering how much firepower they can bring to bear. And your quest battle for the Witsealer Sword is actually against the High Elves. Willing Prey is a Hex, minus 40 melee defense, minus 24 melee attack. Extra speed, extra open strength. Big bonuses to diplomatic relations, soporific musk attacks. A lot of ways to debuff enemies and cause them to rampage with Whisper of Glory. And then, yeah, Harvester of Souls is the big one. That is how he gets all that HP burst healing. Now, one of the strongest mechanics you have at the moment are these Disciple armies, which you can summon right to Nakari's side, and they cost 0 upkeep. So unlike Blood Hosts, they can join you pretty much wherever. The downside is that they need to be in a highly corrupt Slaaneshi area for you to make full use of them. So while you can snowball out of control using them, you've basically got to get really high Slaaneshi corruption in an area before you move in if you really want to make full use of them on the aggro side. But as a defensive army that you use to garrison your main provinces and kind of be like a defense on the home front, they are very, very strong. Because, again, they cost 0 upkeep and they're usually a full army. So, quite similar to how Blood Hosts work, but instead they're tied to corruption. And if they don't have enough corruption in the area they're garrisoning, then they will take massive attrition and quickly disappear, which is why I feel like they're more a defensive-oriented style of summon army rather than the Blood Hosts, which are obviously very aggressive and you use to accompany Skarbrand everywhere you go. So as I stated at the start of the video, Slaanesh has a very powerful economy and a lot of growth bonuses from their buildings, which means you can get powerful armies out pretty quickly, and we'll need them because we're in the realm of chaos now, and we're facing down Skarbrand, the exiled one, and he's a scary boy. He's got Slaughter and Carnage, 800 weapon strength base. I mean, he can beat up on stuff, and he's got a nice army here too. Silver Chevron Bloodletters, 4 Gorby's Chariots, 2 Blood Crushers of Khorne, all gold Chevron, and then the Fleshhounds, which are a bit of a nightmare for Slaanesh to deal with. Thankfully, because of our economy, which I might break down in another video, we kind of turtled and just invested heavily in infrastructure and got out some really powerful units quite early on. So turn 62, 3 Keeper Secrets, Exalted Demonettes, Heartseekers. It's a really good army at this point, and it's not cutting too much into our economy either. So she needs to level up. What are we going to do with that? Let's go just melee defense because we're going to fight. Yeah, I want to get Gate of Slaanesh and Greater Gate once that becomes available, of course. But for now, we're going to open up our war with Skarbrand because this will accomplish 2 things. One, it will prevent him from getting a Demon Prince Soul and set him back. He'll lose some of his important starting units. Those Blood Crushers are quite useful for him. And we're going to go to war with him anyway because he's the faction that's closest to me. And Khorne typically doesn't love Slaanesh. The Dark Prince and the Blood God have a bit of a rivalry thing going on. So if we can take out his army in the Realm of Chaos, that will set his entire campaign back quite a bit. And I mean, look at the stats on my units, man. Like 50 melee attack across the board. Exalted Demonettes are really good in terms of their stats anyway. Keeper Secrets, 67 melee attack base. Yeah, I mean, none of them will be able to beat Skarbrand one-on-one, but we have the speed to not really have to worry too much about that. Oh yeah, mommy. Step on me. Do it. Now, I'm a little bit curious how the Keeper Secrets will perform here, because this is quite literally my first battle ever using them in campaign. So, we'll see how it goes. This is a very micro-intensive army. I mean, when everything you use is 100 plus speed, it actually gets a little bit scary when you've got full 20 stacks, because it is very easy to misplace something, and usually the trade-off of 100 plus speed units is that they just die to stiff farts. So the way we kind of mitigate some of those issues is use single entities out front and don't commit the infantry and the very squishy but very powerful, very high charge bonus Demonette Cav until the time is right. So we'll keep the Demonettes near the rear for a while. Keep the Heartseekers probably out of the melee engagement for quite a long time too. And see what we can do at the start with these Keeper of Secrets and Nakari himself. So it'll be 2 hit squads fighting back to back. That's a lot of arms, a lot of killing power. But the Keepers, again, have tiny armor values. And if they get surrounded by mass, they're in trouble. Oh, this is perfect. Acquiescence and Willing Prey debuffed. Nakari, please. Nakari, please. Please swing your weapon. Thank you. My lord. Yeah, it's happening maybe a little bit more often than I would like. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Well, I mean, now he's mulching him. I mean, yeah, it's pretty disgusting, his single target DPS. It's pretty gross. Now you just 4-shot that Blood Shrine. But, it should have already been dead. Now, I imagine some of you guys are wondering why I don't have more Lore of Slaanesh spells on Nakari now that he's level 25 and we're 62 turns into the campaign. Most of my spells are on my Shadows caster, my Aluris. She's got Pendulum and Pit of Shades, which are just better spells against AI. So it's not that Phantasmagoria and some of these other ones, Slicing Shards, can't be good in siege scenarios, but Lore of Shadows is just stronger. So I've just invested more on her skill tree for magic and left Nakari to invest in other things. It just exploded. That was pretty sweet. Yeah, with that said, I'm not gonna worry much about magic this game. You guys know that Pendulum and Pit of Shades and shit just blows stuff up. I mean, I played the Whistler Sword quest battle against the High Elves, and I was deleting Phoenix Guard with Pendulum, like just literally from 100 to 0. Like it's a busted spell right now. So I'm not gonna do that here because I want to show actual Slaanesh combat and not just rely on magic decimating everything I throw it at. So we'll focus on the debuffs. There's a Lore of Life spell from the Cataclysm lore on the right, but I'm not gonna have access to it for a while, I don't think. They're doing okay for the moment. Fighting in the trees isn't really ideal, but they do have Strider, right? Yeah, they have Strider, so they won't take any debuffs in the woods. So that's actually a good engagement for them, because the Blood Crushers of Khorne do not have Strider, so they will take terrain penalties in the forest. But I gotta pull out. Yeah, see, like, look at that. It really wasn't much of a fight, and the Keeper lost maybe a fifth, sixth of her health. A little bit painful. They're squishy, dude. They're real squishy. And I gotta be really careful about Skarbrand. So, I kind of covered it in some of my previous content, but Skarbrand, I do want to take the duel, if possible, but he has one of the best anti-Slaanesh abilities in the game. The AoE Rampage. And if he rampages my stuff, like right now, for instance, that could be really bad. Yeah, I should probably think about backing up sometime soon here. I kind of want to go in and just kill off the Blood Crushers, but dude, yeah, I'm playing with fire for sure. Like, if the Keepers rampage and they get forced into the middle of the army, they could die, and they could die pretty easily, pretty fast. So playing with fire there. We'll try to keep an eye on that, but this is good because we're kind of doing what we did in that first battle. We're baiting out some of these units. It seems like the AI is really focused on holding that specific terrain. And I'm not sure exactly why it thinks that terrain is so strong. But we can kill the Fleshhounds of Khorne. And then at some point, it seems like once they've taken enough casualties, it's like artillery, right? Like, they won't charge you right away if you have artillery necessarily. But once they've lost maybe like half strength on a unit or something, then they're like, okay, I've had enough of this. And they just go balls to the wall. And it seems like that might trigger pretty soon here. Fireballs continue to miss because suck ass. Okay, no, they have not fully committed yet. So, tell you what, let's... Ooh, yeah. Gorby's Chariots will melt two Heartseekers, which might be my favorite Slaanesh unit in the game. They're amazing. Amazing. Right now, they'd get 110 charge bonus in the flank or rear, with huge weapon strength, armor piercing, and great stats across the board. Except that low armor. Of course, that's kind of the core feature. Alright, the Blood Crushers are too close there, so I don't want to go in. Deal with this Gate of Chaos. Khorne's not gonna mill around forever here. I think we've done some economic damage to him, for sure. And we've taken a lead with these engagements, but it hasn't been crazy substantial. We killed off a Blood Shrine and did some damage to Fleshhounds. All right, now I think they're fully. Oh, run, run, run! Skarbrand's coming. Get out of there, boys. Perfect. Gorby's Chariot got caught out. Disengage with the Heartseekers. Blood Crushers are coming. I love the Demonette voice acting, by the way. It's really... Oh, no. Please get out. Please. so scary when you're fighting Khorne. When you're fighting Skarbrand in particular, but Khorne in general. Blood Crushers will get that downhill charge, which will hurt a little bit, but with Heartseekers hitting the flank, I think we should be able to wrap it up pretty quickly on that side. And then hopefully get them fully around behind, and a big hammer and anvil might be enough to seal this one. But we got a lot more work to do. Alright. Everything collapse on the Gore Beasts. Let's get rid of the chariots because they're going to be a big problem for my demonettes. Time to run away. Once we get rid of the flesh... Oh, Skarbrand's coming. Skarbrand's coming. Back up. Oh, shit. This is what I'm talking about, boys. We gotta go in now. So, Pit of Shades to clear it. We got rampaged. Keeper Secrets are stuck in the middle of a lot of stuff that are somewhat deadly to them. And now we're kind of forced into a fight I don't really want to take. Don't think I have to. Oh, please stop hitting him. God, look at how fast he melted. So yeah, this is the thing. It's like you're playing really well, you're picking stuff off, you're killing everything, and then you turn away for a split second, you get rampage, your unit's in the wrong spot, gets dragged in further, and you might lose to Keeper of Secrets. Let's try to get a heal off if possible. Nope. Switched just as I tried to get the spell off. I probably had like maybe 15 or 20 seconds before that to use it, and I probably could have gotten a huge AoE heal there, which would have been quite helpful. But this is the other side of the coin when it comes to Slaanesh. We're still fine. I don't think we're gonna lose anything. Got a good engagement on Skarbrand, finally pulled him out of position and now completely outflanked. But this is the deal with a crazy micro-intensive army like this one. Like, it's very powerful, but it's not a mindless doom stack. You've got to think about positioning. It's a bit more cerebral. A lot more micro-intensive than Life Slan with 19 Snegadons, where you kind of just mindlessly throw them in. And I think that makes it fun, because this is a powerful army, but it's a balanced stack of late-game troops. You've got the Cav, you've got the single entity monsters, you've got the infantry, and all of it can melt if you do not put it in the right spot. That was a really fun battle. I kind of screwed up at the end there because the rampage got me in a real scary position, and I basically had to just go in to support my keeper. I probably could have played that a little bit better in terms of my response to getting rampaged. I don't think I needed to send everything in all at once, and my Fiends and Heartseekers paid the price for that a little bit, but their models survived, so I think their HP bar will be fine after this game anyway. And honestly, that's a good representation of how things can turn so quickly. I love it. Like, CA's nailed how this faction plays, how they should be. This is how they should play. Really well represented in Warhammer 3. Here's the post-battle results. Nukari got 4,300 damage value. Keepers were all pretty great. I mean, okay, maybe the regular keepers weren't as fantastic. I think I stand by what I said about them in my Greater Demons video. It's not that they're terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but they have some issues for sure. But this is a big win for us because we didn't lose any units. We will easily be able to replenish our troops by going to the... Why is the camera looking this way? What are you doing? Stop. Stop! Go back to Khorne's realm. Yeah, so we can pick up this weapon right here in the corner, and that should fully replenish our army, and then we can get like one more skull. That almost actually put us to the threshold to be able to fight that first Demon Prince. So we got 4 skill points for Nukari after that battle. This is another change I love in Warhammer 3. The bigger the battle you fight, the more skill points and XP your Lord will get in a single go. That's how it should have always been, honestly. I really like that change. So, like I said, not really investing too much in the Lore of Magic for Nukari at the moment. So we'll go Keeper Secrets buffs and then Demonette buffs for tier 7 stuff, rank 7. Because they're about to hit that. They're all rank 6 at the moment. We'll pick up that weapon, we will replenish, and then we will fight a big battle for the Demon Prince of Khorne, the Gatekeeper. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this look at Slaanesh. Way more content coming with N'Kari, and in terms of multiplayer battles, campaign footage, what have you. Really enjoying this faction. Hope you guys enjoyed the content, and I'll see you all in the next one. Any Pride, signing out for now. Have a good one, guys.